dust swirled through the ruined streets of Elyndor, a city that once stood as a beacon of prosperity and innovation. Now, it lay in desolation, a mere shadow of its former self. The air was thick with the remnants of what had been, each particle of dust telling a story of a time long past. The once proud city lay shattered, its grandeur lost to time and some unknown cataclysm. Buildings that had once reached for the heavens now lay in heaps of rubble, their foundations cracked and broken. Streets that had been bustling with life were now silent, save for the occasional whisper of the wind. Crumbling towers clawed at the sky, their spires like broken teeth. These structures, once symbols of Elyndor's might and architectural prowess, now stood as grim reminders of the city's fall. Each tower seemed to tell a tale of its own, of dreams that had soared high only to be dashed against the harsh reality of time and fate. An eerie silence hung heavy, broken only by the sigh of the wind as it whistled through the skeletal remains of buildings. This silence was not just the absence of sound, but a profound stillness that seemed to seep into the very bones of the city. It was as if Elyndor itself was holding its breath, waiting for something or someone to break the spell of its eternal slumber. Magic lingered in the air, a palpable hum that sent shivers down the spine. This was not the vibrant, life-giving magic that had once flowed through the city's veins, but a more somber, haunting presence. It was as if the very essence of Elyndor's past glories had been trapped in the air, a ghostly reminder of what had been lost. It was a place of forgotten wonders and whispered secrets, a graveyard of ambition and a testament to the power of the unseen forces that governed the world. The ruins of Elyndor were not just a collection of broken stones and decayed structures, but a living, breathing entity that held within it the echoes of countless stories. Each corner, each shadow, seemed to whisper of the lives that had once thrived here, of the dreams that had been dreamt and the hopes that had been dashed. Elyndor was a city of memories, a place where the past and the present coexisted in a delicate, haunting balance. Amara Lynhardt adjusted the pack on her shoulders, her gaze sweeping the desolate landscape. Her face, framed by a cascade of raven hair, was etched with determination. She had journeyed for weeks, drawn to Elyndor by the whispered legends of the Shattered Veil, an artifact of immense power lost within the city's ruins. Finding the veil was more than just a quest for Amara. It was a pilgrimage, a chance to right the wrongs of her past and perhaps even change the fate of the world. From the skeletal shadow of a collapsed archway, the remnants of a once grand structure now reduced to rubble, Kaelen Oris watched the lone figure of Amara. She moved with a grace that belied the desolation around her, her steps careful and deliberate, as if she were treading on sacred ground. He was cloaked in the colors of the ruins, his presence nearly imperceptible. The tattered cloak he wore blended seamlessly with the crumbling stones and overgrown vines, making him a ghost among the ruins. Kaelen had called Elyndor home for longer than he cared to remember, his life intertwined with its secrets and dangers. The city, once a beacon of magic and prosperity, now lay in silent decay, its glory days long past. He knew the city's rhythms, its moods, the whispers of magic that clung to its stones. Every corner held a memory, every shadow a story. The air was thick with the remnants of spells cast long ago, their power lingering like a faint echo. The arrival of this outsider, this woman with the haunted eyes and the air of desperate purpose, did not sit well with him. She was a disruption to the fragile balance he had maintained for so long, a reminder of the world beyond Elyndor's crumbling walls. Amara's presence was like a gust of wind stirring the dust of forgotten memories. She seemed to be searching for something, her eyes scanning the ruins with a mix of hope and despair. Kaelen wondered what could drive someone to this forsaken place, what secrets she sought among the ruins. He kept his distance, watching her every move. Trust was a luxury he could not afford, not in a place where betrayal could mean death. Yet there was something about her that intrigued him, a strength beneath her vulnerability that called to him. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ruins, Kaelen knew he had to make a choice. To reveal himself and risk everything, or to remain a shadow in the ruins, forever watching, forever alone. The clatter of steel on stone shattered the silence. Amara whirled around, her hand instinctively reaching for the sword sheathed at her hip. Her eyes, the color of storm clouds, locked onto the figure emerging from the shadows. Kaelen stood before her, a tall, imposing figure with eyes as dark as the ruins themselves. He moved with a fluid grace that belied a deadly intent. Neither spoke, but the tension between them crackled like lightning in the air. "Who are you?" Amara's voice echoed through the empty streets, her tone a mix of curiosity and caution. She had never seen anyone like him before, and in this desolate city, strangers were a rare sight. Her eyes scanned his figure, trying to discern his intentions. Amara's voice, though laced with caution, held a thread of steel. She had been through too much to let her guard down easily. The city had taken everything from her, and she was determined not to let it take her life as well. Kaelen's gaze swept over her, taking in every detail. He noted the weariness in her eyes, the determination in her stance. She was a survivor just like him. In this city, that meant something. It meant she had seen things, done things, that would break most people. "This city is forbidden," he replied, his voice low and gravelly. His words were a warning, but also a statement of fact. The city was a place of danger, a place where the unwary could easily lose their way, or their lives. "Turn back while you still can." Amara stood her ground. She had come too far to turn back now. The shattered veil was her only hope, the only thing that could save her people. She couldn't afford to be afraid. "I seek the shattered veil," she declared. Her voice was steady, her resolve unshakable. She had heard the stories, the legends of the veil's power. It was said to be a gateway, a bridge between worlds. If she could find it, she could change everything. Kaelen's lips curled into a humorless smile. He had heard those words before, from others who had come seeking the veil. None of them had returned. The city had a way of swallowing people whole, of erasing them from existence. "Many have sought it," he said, his voice laced with warning. "None have returned." His eyes bore into hers, searching for any sign of doubt. But Amara's gaze remained steady. She was not like the others. She was different. Their eyes met, a silent understanding passing between them. They were both bound to this place, their fates intertwined by the whispers of the veil. In that moment, they both knew that they would have to work together if they were to survive. They were both bound to this place, their fates intertwined by the whispers of the veil. The city was a labyrinth of shadows and secrets, and only by joining forces could they hope to navigate its treacherous paths. Together, they would face whatever dangers lay ahead, united by a pact forged in necessity. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the ruins. Amara and Kaelen moved like phantoms through the desolate streets, their earlier animosity replaced by a wary truce. The silence was broken only by the crunch of rubble beneath their feet and the occasional whisper of wind through the crumbling stone. Ahead of them, the ruins seemed to press in, the air growing heavy with unspoken menace. A low growl echoed through the ruins, sending a shiver down Amara's spine. The shadows around them seemed to writhe and twist, taking on menacing shapes. They were not alone. Kaelen drew his sword, the metal gleaming dully in the fading light. "Stay close," he muttered, his voice barely audible above the rising wind. As if in answer, a hulking figure materialized from the shadows, its eyes glowing with an eerie green light. More figures emerged from the darkness, their forms shifting and changing, as if formed from the very shadows themselves. They moved with a chilling grace, their presence radiating a palpable aura of menace. Amara drew her sword, its blade humming faintly in response to the approaching danger. As she raised her weapon to defend herself, a faint shimmer of light caught her eye. There, nestled amongst the rubble, lay a shard of what looked like shattered glass, pulsing with an ethereal light. The shard pulsed with a light that seemed to push back the shadows, momentarily holding the creatures at bay. It was a beacon in the darkness, a promise of hope and a testament to the legends. This was no ordinary artifact. This was a fragment of the shattered veil. Amara and Kaelen exchanged a knowing glance. Their journey had just begun.